This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
Good morning and welcome to Kentucky's Voice. It is so good to be back with you all today on Thursday. I am Debbie Robbins, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, Bob Scott. And our Tom Fallbush is out today, but he'll be back tomorrow, and we have a great show planned for you tomorrow. But today is Thursday, and this is a very, very busy week. It started off on Sunday with our President of the United States celebrating his 80th birthday. That's amazing. I don't think I've known a few 80-year-olds. Actually, I'm going to tell you all this. My mom's about to turn 90, and she's pretty dadgum sharp. And our president is as well, of course, at age 80. And we're very thankful that he is alive and well. And they had this amazing, fight on the White House lawn and lots of patriotism and the greatest Air Force flyover ever. And even though bad actors are always trying to interrupt and make things very scary for us here in America, I'm sorry, we are one nation under God, and I'm so thankful for that. And I just want to welcome all of you to the program today. You are so important to us. We want you to talk to us today. We've got a lot to chat about. Me and Bob, 502-571-0970. Text us. We want to know your thoughts. We're going to cover lots of things like the FISA and Save America Act trying to be voted on together, maybe what happened on Sunday, the Iran deal, locally, our elections coming up, and just giving you some great reports on things. But right now, I'm feeling very patriotic, and I want to go back to a few years ago when I had the privilege of doing a concert at Fort Knox. It was the first time I ever heard the soldiers give me their creed, and it's called I Am an American Soldier, and you and I are American patriots, and I want you to hear this and be inspired. Here we go.
Appreciation. Go ahead and sign up with the Soldier's Creed.
When they say hoo-ah, and I want to read again the last couple lines because I want to remind you and me, we are guardians of freedom and the American way of life, and that's what our soldiers said. We are American soldiers, and we are warriors and a member of a team. So today, throughout this hour, I want you to be a member of our team. What do you think, Bob? What do you think?
Amen. I have had many relatives that have served before me, and my oldest son is now serving this great nation of ours proudly. We have our disagreements, but and boy, do we have our disagreements. But we do need to come together. You know, we are one nation, as you said at the start, Debbie, under God, and it's very, very important in these times, especially to come together. Express our disagreements. I've got plenty of disagreements with those in leadership right now, but at the end of the day, my Bible says, we're to pray for those in authority over us, and
right.
And I do. I pray for our military. I pray for our leaders, both federally and locally, and it's important that we stand in conjunction with them.
Yes, I agree. And hey, you all out there, please text in 502-571-0970. We're going to talk about J.D. Vance and his new book, Communion. We're going to talk about FISA and the Save America Act. We have so many things. Please contact us. We want to hear from you today because we are all American patriots. We are soldiers under the cross. We'll be right back. This is Kentucky's Voice and America's.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Ossoff, why did you call an ID bill unworkable? Doesn't your rally require IDs? And why are you against efforts to secure elections? Senator Ossoff, why did you call a voter ID totally unworkable? Don't you require IDs for your rallies? Why are you opposed to efforts to secure elections?
Well, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. Hey, I want to know from you all, when was the last time you had to show an ID for something? Hello? Like when you go to the bank, you've got to, show ID. What do you think, Brother Bob? What do you think about this clip?
And we wanted to play that clip. It's a short clip, but very powerful. He's being questioned, I believe, by somebody in the media, or and maybe just a common person like us is just, wanting to know why. Why will you not support John Ossoff or Ossoff or whatever you are?
From Georgia.
From Georgia. A state that I know overwhelmingly the majority of people in your state support, as does our entire country. Why will you not support the whole idea of being able to show some kind of ID when you go to vote? I mean, how simple is it? Now the good news is here in Kentucky, we're, I got to show my ID every time I go and vote, but they're trying to federalize it because we know the only reason that they don't want you to show an ID is so they can cheat, pure and simple. And what I don't understand, and I know Senator McConnell's in the hospital right now, and we are praying for you. We're praying that you have a quick recovery. But why are you voting against the Save America Act, Senator McConnell? We'd like to know as Kentuckians, what's your answer to that? And there's three other Republican senators that are standing. One's on his way out the door. Well, actually, two, if you count Senator McConnell, Tom Tillis from North Carolina. They're both on their way out the door.
Well, and actually, the guy from Louisiana, I forget his name because he was defeated also in his primary. I forget his name. Did he vote against it? Maybe not. I don't know.
No, last I heard, it was those four.
Yeah, Susan Collins, McConnell, Tillis, and Murkowski of Alaska.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about it, listeners? We'd love to hear from you. I know our listeners usually have a very valid opinion. So, pick up your phone right now and text us. Are you okay? Are you okay with not?
And also, Bob, we want to remind them too. What was amazing is the president, like you always say, he's the ultimate chess player. And what he did yesterday is he came out on Truth Social and he combined the FISA situation, which is the federal, I forget the acronym, but basically what it allows our government to spy on bad actors that are from out of the country. But sometimes it will overlap with Americans because they may be calling Americans. So, you never know what's going on in a phone conversation or a text or an email, but that has saved us many times and protected us, but it's up for renewal in the Congress. So he said he will not sign it unless the Save America Act is attached to it. So that really threw the Senate into a big tizzy yesterday. And so I think it's a great chess move, as you always call it. And I want to know what our listeners think, and throw your opinions out there because I'm hoping our leaders are listening, or somehow somebody gets the word out. We have to keep speaking up. So what do they think?
And the problem with FISA, it is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And again, foreign intelligence being the operative words there.
Right.
Basically, it gives the government permission to spy on anybody that they feel may be trying to do harm to our nation. Unfortunately, it has bled over into average Americans and not so average Americans. I know President Trump.
He's a victim of it.
Was a victim of it, So it is a interesting piece of legislation that, in my humble opinion, needs to be greatly reined in. I do feel there are moments that it needs to be used, but no average Joe American citizen, in my opinion, should be surveilled and without some kind of court order, in the process where there is definitive evidence that we may be or someone may be trying to do harm to our nation.
Right. It's really kind of a catch-22 because we're in the middle of the AI era of life, and things are just only going to become more complex where it's very difficult to protect your privacy. And I get that. But I also want to protect us too. It's very scary. And that's why the Save America Act is so important as well. I mean, I do worry about fraud upon fraud there. Let's say we pass it. Then how do we know that the photo IDs that these people may see or license are legit? How do we know that? How do we know that they show citizenship papers that they're legit? It's just, but yet we need it. We need a safeguard.
Well, I
it's
can
very
say that
difficult.
again, using Kentucky as an example. I know that our driver's license, when you present that at the time of voting, they scan it into the system and they know
Yeah.
instantly if it's a legitimate driver's license.
Yes, I'm an election officer, and it is
And
true.
you probably know that better than anybody.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
do. But it's also, we catch a lot of different things. But nonetheless, but I'm glad that, thanks to John Hodgson and others, they made our rules a lot better where we cut out some of the forms of ID that you present. It has to be a photo ID. But I want to know that I know that I know that an American citizen is voting. I get really upset when I think about, we had one thing in our election book this year that really bothered me. It said, now, if a person doesn't speak English, you cannot deny them the right to vote. Well, I get that. I know what you mean. But to me, it's kind of a big clue. If you can't speak English, you're likely not a citizen. And if you have been here for years and years and you still haven't learned English, how do I know that? It's just crazy. But yet it's so important. And I just want to know what people are thinking out there. And nonetheless, even if Senator McConnell doesn't answer us, I think we need to continue texting or emailing or attempting to call his office, call locally, email nationally, even if we get some, regurgitated response that's a canned response, just so they know. And I would call other senators as well. Sometimes they like to try to ignore people that are not from their state. Well, too bad, so sad. When you vote, you're representing me. When it's this tight and there's only 4 votes that are making a difference or 2, hey, Alaska, you're affecting me here in Kentucky. So you need to hear and you need to listen. So what are you all thinking out there? Because Bob and I, we go around and around about this, and Tom, when he's here, this is so important. And it being at the age that we are, and I think a lot of our listeners out there, we're all mature listeners, and we know just how important that it is. And I'm going to bring in a little bit too while we're waiting, Bob, hopefully for people to talk to us about local elections again. Hey, Bob, I wanted to tell you that Sarah Provancher, our executive director of the Jefferson County Republican Party, told me today that we had an uptick in Republicans voting in our primary. What do you think about that? Wasn't that great? Because usually we don't.
I think that's good news.
Yeah.
That's happening. I suspect it had to do with particular, even though he has, I believe, just a very small portion of Jefferson County, but the Ed Galrain, Thomas Massey race, it obviously brought a lot of attention, to it. But it's good to see. It's good to see
great.
People getting engaged in the political system, and we as a nation rely on that, because
absolutely,
without we the people, there really isn't a country. Even though we've had a lot of discussions here amongst ourselves about it being at times you get a feeling like it's a big uniparty,
Right. Well,
and honestly, that's what the Save America Act looks a lot alike, even though I think all of the Democrats, with the exception of John Fetterman, who I believe is leaning towards becoming a Republican.
Well, he grew up in a Republican family.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
But he's well, do you remember when he was first elected
Mm-hmm.
and came in? Man, I thought they have elected an absolute clown,
I
But
know.
who would have thought? Who would have
Right.
thought that John Fetterman would be one of the few voices of reason
Right.
that exists in our Senate? Now, don't agree with him on many things, but generally speaking, I love his candor. I
Mm-hmm.
love his outspoken nature.
Mm-hmm.
I love his ability to tell it like it is and frame it like it is.
Yeah. I mean, his viewpoint on our nation and its founding and the First Amendment, the Second Amendment is critical. Those two things are just, I think, all good patriots believe that. And all the other things are minutia differences of the social issues of which we as a Christian conservative audience, those are critical to us because we know without the moral foundation, we're really nothing, so and when we come back, Bob, I want to remind our listeners too, we've got so much to talk about. I want to show you our Metro Council people that came through the primary, and I want to show their pictures. I'm going to read their names and say their district numbers so that you get them in your head. Because, like Bob said, this is a local situation. We start locally. We choose wisely, right, Bob? We choose wisely
right.
local. And then we're going to have success. Because I'm not going to give up these midterm elections. How about you? I'm not going to say we're defeated.
I'm not, but we'll talk about that on the other side of this.
Yeah. Right. We good. So, guys.
I got a few things to say about that.
Okay, I know you do. 502-571-0970. We are so glad that you're with us today on Kentucky's Voice. Text us. We want to hear from you. So, it's Thursday. Don't let the rain get you down. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. Hello there, my Kentucky patriots and wonderful friends out there. We sure would love to hear from you at 502-571-0970. I'm joined today with Bob Scott. We're excited to be here today to talk about what's going on in our nation. I'm holding with bated breath. I don't know what's going on with the Supreme Court. I know they were going to bring down some rulings today, but I haven't heard yet. I haven't had an opportunity to see because we're on the air. So if you know anything out there, text us if anything critical has happened.
Well, Debbie, with that in mind,
Uh-oh.
we have received our first text.
Oh, good.
Today, bravo.
Yay.
For breaking that ice, and we want more. 502-571 0970. But the first text that came in is in response to our first conversation. Not only, and what they said is, not only should one be required to show an ID to vote, they should also be required to speak the English language.
I agree. I'm with you on that, friend out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so critical.
Yeah, and Debbie, as being a poll worker,
Mm-hmm.
what is that like? I guess if somebody comes in, and I'm sure you've had many that have come in that
Mm-hmm.
can't speak English.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
Well, I have to go by my book. And what people don't realize when you are an election officer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be sworn in and you have to abide by those rules. Because we can be, charged if we cheat or do anything, we can if people really get upset. But I can remember at the 2020 election, I was chosen to be at Fairdale when that was the year of COVID and we had all of these. We didn't have our regular legislative districts that we voted from, like we all go to our polling places. We had these big sites. So I was chosen to be a troubleshooter. I was really upset that day because I had a lot of Spanish speaking people that came in and they had a quote helper that, was with them and we had to help them vote. And I have no idea what was being said to those people in their foreign tongue. I don't know if they were
Mm-hmm.
being told, hey, vote for so and so. I didn't know that for sure. But I had to, and it took a long time. We had to give what we call provisional ballots, meaning that if we couldn't find your information or different things, you would only get to vote for the federal elections. So a lot of these people I had to deal with that day. They ended up having provisional ballots. It ate up a lot of time per voter for me to do that. It was very frustrating, but most of them that couldn't speak English, I'm like, you have no business being in here. That was my humble opinion, but I had to help them. So it's aggravating. It's just, and it's wrong.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it is something
Yeah.
that is a problem,
Mm-hmm.
in our nation, because there are a lot of folks that have come in, and not just from south of the border, but from
Mm-hmm.
around the world. Even though,
Right. Right.
as we've
Mm-hmm.
seen with the current soccer, uh, situation that's going on, where we're hosting the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what's been very impressive to me is from non-English speaking nations. A lot of these fans speak as good, if not better, English
I know.
than us,
I
and
know. I
and
know.
in fact, my son even commented to me. He said, "Dad, how does people from Finland or Norway, speak such great
Mm-hmm.
language?" And I said, "Well, they happen to have both those countries, just to cherry pick a few, happen to have some of the best educational systems in the world,
Right.
and they require,
They require a second language
English
where
as a
here it's an
second
option.
language,
Yeah.
so it's not that uncommon to see. It's actually very refreshing to
Mm-hmm.
see. And I am not a soccer fan normally, but
Mm-hmm.
I've honestly been getting a kick out of some of the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
It's really uh, got my blood moving in a good direction. In particular, I'm of Scottish ancestry. Go figure, Bob Scott. Uh, but
No.
where
Yeah.
Boston has been taken over
Mm-hmm.
by the Scottish people, and
Oh, that's
just to hear them
fun.
chants and the bagpipes playing, and
I
that
love
is
it.
something that has always moved me immensely.
Oh, of course. I
And
agree.
I just
I
think
love
that's
it.
deep in my blood. And then you're seeing I think it was down in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
in Dallas, where a similar thing. It's I want to say, I think it was Norway. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
but they all come in orange. And it's like a wave of
Yeah.
people, and they're all chanting and moving in the same direction.
And that's
So
great.
it is a great thing to see, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's
I
wonderful for our world,
It is.
to
And
see
I even
that
saw some
happen.
of them. I forgot what country they were singing. Almost Heaven, West Virginia. They were singing our song. It was great. It was great. Hey, I want to come back on the local level because I want people to understand again, like you said at the beginning of the program, it is so important that we take control of where we live, of those that govern us. And we have a Metro Council election coming up this fall where half of our council members are up for election. And we have our strategy as conservatives and Christians is we want to keep 3 people in that are there, and we want to gain 3 more. And I just want to say their names again. Kat Timmerman is District 7. So if you're out there, Kevin Kramer. Oh, thank you, Mr. Producer. Kevin Kramer, he's an incumbent, District 11. Nancy Lynn Walters, she's District 17, which I know that's the Anchorage area. Some of them I know their areas, some I don't. I'm sorry. Dan Syme Jr., he's incumbent, District 13. That's Fairdale area. Anthony Piagentini, he's an incumbent. Now, I will have to say that he and Alex Faria, are both Republicans. It's a nonpartisan race, but the party will decide in a couple of weeks who we're going to back. And I'm telling you all truthfully, we're probably leaning towards Tony Piagentini because he is doing an outstanding job. And I see him as a future mayor and probably a future governor of our state. He is a great representative, taking nothing away from Alex Faria. And then we have Lonnie Joseph, who will actually be with us on the show tomorrow, District 21, the airport area. Man, he ran quite a race, had some people do some bad things to him, but he is still standing, and he did a great job. And then our last one is Jeff Hudson. He's District 23, and he's an incumbent. And they're, all of these people, get them in your brain. They've got to get elected. Between that and, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to switch to the school board. Remember when we had Jason Nemus on here last week, and he was telling us about the school board, that we've now divided our county into 5 sections for a school board, getting rid of 7. Everybody has to go back and rerun. And we have 1 conservative that's in there already, but we need to get 2 more in there. And we haven't, as a party, the party has not decided who they're going to choose. But I will say that all of the Republicans that are up in Districts 2, Districts 3, and District 5 have said whomever the party endorses, they're going to drop out and they're going to get behind that candidate. So if you look on a map, look it up, District 2, District 3, District 5 for Jefferson County Public Schools, because if you are there, you've got the world in your hands. I'm telling you, it's going to make the biggest difference in Jefferson County budget, the things that we do. If we have conservatives elected to that school board and we get a great Metro Council of conservatives, Bob, what do you think? I mean, we can do a lot even without a Republican mayor.
Well, what I think it's a daggone shame that the 2 major school districts in our state have had so much, dare I say, corruption, or certainly misuse of
to
funds
put it lightly.
that have happened in both areas, to where they're both running multi-million-dollar deficits, despite, especially in the case of Louisville, where billions of dollars is being spent there. It's scary, and it's something that we can only address through the ballot box. So I agree with you, Debbie. Yeah. We need to be, as the Bible says, wise as serpents, yet gentle as doves.
Yes.
In the upcoming election, and make certain you're doing your homework, people.
Yes.
And
hey, you all, we want to
people.
hear from you. 502-571-0970. Bob and I are here. We can't wait to come back, and we want to talk about our Vice President, J.D. Vance, and the future of our nation and Christian principles and morals and values. We'll be right back. This is Kentucky's Voice.
to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
It became controversial when you said that you hope that your wife, who is Hindu,
Sure.
that she would convert to the same faith. And that became a controversy. And I'm like, I don't think that's controversial at all.
Yeah, it's just an observation.
Yeah.
When you believe something, and I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that it really influences everything else about me, then of course you want the people that you love to share that perspective as well. It doesn't mean I don't respect my wife. I mean, she's a brilliant person. As I write about in the book, a lot of my own journey back to faith, she supported. Even though she didn't necessarily see things the same way that I do, she really inspired my own journey back to faith. And so I think it's just a totally normal thing for a husband to want his wife to agree with him on some of these issues. But, you know, the best conversations I've had about faith, about religion, about theology have been with Usha, because she does come at these things from a different perspective. I've learned a lot from her. I think she's learned a lot from me. And that's one of the great things about being married to a person like her.
Wow, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I was really touched the other night seeing that interview with our vice president and knowing that he's written a new book called Communion. He said he's actually been writing it since about 2019 and that he figured he better get it done or he never would. And it's not a political book. It's kind of a follow-up to his first book called Hillbilly Elegy, which actually I found out was an essay that he wrote while he was at Yale University. And his professor, when she read it, she called him in and said, "This needs to be a book." And then, of course, it became a huge movie that was directed by Ron Howard. And if you've never seen his story, Hillbilly Elegy, a young man born here in Kentucky, up in, eastern Kentucky, and then just his whole life, it's just amazing. But this book, Communion, Bob, it really touched me. That interview and him talking about just his journey back to Jesus, because he left Christianity, became an atheist, and then was drawn back in. But he's done quite a media blitz the past 2 or 3 days, but also, yeah, right, defending
Crazy.
our country too.
I'll put it this way. He went from The View in the morning, and then on ABC, of course, and they are in no way, shape, fashion, or form Republicans or Trump lovers. He acquitted himself remarkably on that. I didn't see it. I've seen clips.
It was awesome. I'm going to jump in just to give the one comment I shared with you. Joey Behar told him during the break, "For a Republican, you're okay." So he was amazed. Well, so what do you think of that?
That's refreshing and amazing. I mean, honestly, when I hadn't even heard that one until you brought it up to me, that is amazing. And then he went to the 5 in the afternoon session, and then
Hannity.
He did Hannity,
and he also did the Gutfeld show.
And yeah, I mean, he had a remarkable day, and it really does show his he's an incredible communicator. I don't care what anybody says,
right?
Whether you like him or not, he is very refreshing. In that sense, and has a way, much like Charlie Kirk did, and I'll say this slowly, had a way of really communicating with people, even people that were adverse to him, and may come at him with some difficult questions or comments, and sometimes the outright lies. He has a way to effectively communicate them, and of course, he was talking about he is in an interfaith marriage,
Yes, and before we get there, I wanted to jump in and tell you one more thing, because that's going to be a big discussion when you bring that back up. He also, on The View, Bob, you would have loved this, they asked him specifically, you spoke out against President Trump so viciously back in 2015, and he said, yes, I did. I did. But in 2016, I changed my mind, and they're like, well, why? And he said, well, it wasn't for political reasons. He said, I just realized I was wrong. And he said to Joy, he said, it takes a little humility, Joy. It's humility, to admit you're wrong. And I'm so thankful for that. And then, getting back to, go
and
ahead.
Debbie, isn't that what our country needs a little bit more of?
Yeah.
Especially leaders in our country, Republicans and Democrats. it's
Yeah.
okay to say I made a mistake, or I had a bad opinion then, and I became more informed, and I was able to morph and change my opinion
Right.
into something that's going to be not only benefit me, but obviously, since he's in a leadership position, benefit those that I'm representing and serving.
Yeah, and even at the time when he made that comment, he was not in politics. Like he told her, he said, I've only been in
100%.
politics for 3 years or four max, because he ran for Senate. He went from doing nothing to running for Senate. When he decided to move back to Ohio from California, he said, I want to go home. I want to help my people. And when
I love the interfaith marriage. Now I do feel, and I'll say it as a Christian, we're not to be unequally yoked. But when he got married,
he was an atheist.
He was an atheist. He had not made any kind of confession of faith in Christ. And we also know that the Bible's pretty clear about, because it was, I believe Paul was asked about that. What happens if my husband or wife is not a believer? And the answer was, well, you pray for them,
right?
And you pray and live by example, with the hope that they come to Christ, and they have jointly agreed they're raising their children as Christians. Now he's a Catholic, still Christian,
right?
And raising them up in that faith.
Yes, and he also said he was baptized in 2019. He had a real, radical conversion back to his Christian faith. And what I find so precious is that most of the time, and nothing against you guys out there, I don't mean to bash men, but most of the time it's the women that come to Christ, and they're the ones that are in this unequally yoked relationship because our hearts are just wired differently. But how sweet and wonderful that he, the head of his family, is the one who is praying for his wife, and the coverage that gives in his family to his wife and his children. And we all need to pray for him, because I really believe that he has the capability and the intellect and the leadership qualities to be our next president. What do you think,
I do
Bob?
too. Yeah.
What do you think?
I have not made any official endorsements yet.
Right.
But I do. And again, I haven't always agreed with him, but I find him, generally speaking, very refreshing, and especially in today's time frame that we find us in. He's been very loyal to President Trump, but at the same time, he has a way of taking on the Joy Beharts of the world, and very heated, but well, I shouldn't even say heated, but very composed discussion.
Yes.
And that's the thing I love about him.
I do too.
He doesn't take things personal. He'll say it like he sees it, but does it in a gracious way.
He does. And I want to share, I went to, much to your chagrin, I'm just rubbing it in here, I went to that Ed Galrain event a few months back where the president was there speaking. But the cool thing, and I was there as a volunteer, but the nice thing was I met a gentleman in the back of the room who is from the Northern Kentucky area. He's a business owner there. And he also is the person, he knows the Vances personally. When JD and his family come home, and they come home quite often or whenever they can, he's the one who picks them up from the airport, does everything for them, anything and everything in regards to his schedule. So, of course, all of us little ladies were gathering around saying, tell us about JD, tell us about him. And he said, I can't reveal things. I can't reveal things. He said, but the one thing I want the world to know, and this was a burly man, he got tears in his eyes. He said, I have never met a more grateful person. He said, this man is thankful for everything, and he lets you know, and he lets whomever is serving him, whether they're driving a car, whatever they're doing, he lets people know. He said, and it's real, and he loves his family, and they're the most precious people. He said, so don't let anyone ever tell you that. He's with them all the time when he's there. He said, that is true. And I love that. I really do, because politics can make you very, very hard.
Absolutely. And I did watch, Caroline and I one night decided to watch Hillbilly Elegy. And,
great movie.
And I do highly recommend watching it. It was, as you said at the top, it was directed by Ron Howard of Mayberry fame,
Mm-hmm.
and Little Opie, and uh, just
Yeah.
a really good movie, very powerful movie, because
Mm-hmm.
he really literally has risen from really
From the
very
ashes.
difficult situation.
Mm.
His mom was a drug abuser.
Mm-hmm.
It was the grandmother who every other word was a swear word, but kept him straight.
Yep.
I'll add that real quick, and
And
I
all of
think
his
by that
friends.
yeah, and and I think they had moved like a lot from Kentucky for job purposes had moved over to Ohio
Mm-hmm.
by that time, and she had a way of cracking the whip,
Yes.
in a way that I think set the tone for him,
Mm-hmm.
moving forward to where he eventually, we know you mentioned that he
Mm-hmm.
landed at Yale,
Mm-hmm.
graduated from Yale, and trying to remember, was it Yale or Harvard Law School, one or the other.
Yale
Um,
Law School, because he
but
went to
but
the
but just
Ohio State University undergrad.
there you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
there you go,
Yeah.
and went in the Marine Corps, and I mean, it just goes to show that in America,
Mm-hmm.
you can rise up from such dire circumstances. And is it any wonder that our very liberal governor, who's trying to paint himself as a moderate, and
Mm.
a lot in the media are trying to push him as a moderate, and he's anything but a
Right.
moderate. I mean, he's truthfully one of the most liberal governors in the country.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why he's now attacking J.D. Vance and
I
going
wonder
after him?
why. Well, he's trying to say he's not a Kentuckian. Well, that's not true. His
He's more
he
of a Kentuckian than our governor
No
is a
kidding.
Kentuckian.
Yeah, what
I'll put it that
JD,
way.
yeah, in Hillbilly Elegy, he said, I told my wife when he proposed to her, because he had nothing, he said, all I can offer you is my Yale Law School debt and my burial place in Eastern Kentucky. He said, I'm going to be buried in Eastern Kentucky with my family. That's all I have to
Awesome.
offer you.
Yep.
And they, of course, got married. But, I do want to say to all of us out here, we need to be praying for them, praying for all of our leaders, as you said, Scripture
Yes.
tells us to do, because God's going to ordain one of them. He's going to anoint one of these people. And he also made reference to President Trump's faith. If you want to watch the Sean Hannity show, he talks about how the president does have a deep faith. He said he wears it, doesn't wear it on his sleeve. I wish he did more. He said, but find out more about him. You'll find out more about the president. So, everybody, we want to hear from you, 502-571-0970. Bob and I will be right back. We are so thankful that you're here. And hi, Kentucky's Voice. Don't let the rain get you down. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. This is Kentucky's Voice.
back to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We would love to hear from you at 502-571-0970. What is on your mind today out there in Jefferson County, aside from these unbelievably horrific storms going on out there? And Bob, I was enjoying our discussion about our vice president, about faith in America. I've heard it is really on the uptick, especially in our younger generation, which really gives me great hope for our nation. And we, what we haven't touched on today is this Iran war business. I guess we should probably touch about that a little bit. But I also love talking about faith. So what else did we not get to cover the last segment? What were you thinking?
Well, yeah, obviously, faith is a critical issue in the times we find ourselves in. As a nation, we must always be leaning upon God. And He's there. He cares. He knows us. I know, historically helped establish our nation. And brought us to the point that we're at. There's a lot of Supreme Court cases now that we're dealing with that definitely need to be talked about, and we're waiting rulings on. Birthright citizenship is one of them.
That's very scary.
Is it a guarantee? Is it really a guarantee that if you're born in this country, you're automatically a citizen? Well, long established tradition has said yes. However, I'm one of those people that believe that no, that shouldn't be the case. You need to be born of a citizen of the United States of America. I think to get that. So that's one of them that's coming up. I don't know.
It may have come down today, but we don't know. We haven't.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get the ruling that we'd like to see. With regard to that. Of course, there's another one, very important one, is transgender sports bans. Well,
that's in the Save America Act. He's attached that to it, hoping, with this FISA thing. Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry, Supreme Court. I'm sorry, we're talking that. Yeah, you're right.
Supreme Court. Where we know in Kentucky, for example, transgender surgeries have essentially been banned, but this would basically uphold that, and as well as 25 other states, have done that. So
and isn't that sad? Only 25 states.
At the core of it, should transgender, and it's primarily men that say that they're a woman. Should they be allowed to compete in women's sports?
It's just absolutely not even a question.
It shouldn't be
a question.
And we know that many on the left fought long and hard for Title IX, and to suddenly have that swept aside, and it really has been, and it's really a tremendous disservice to the women in our country that's even being allowed, in some primarily places like California. But go figure. These are all things, that they're looking at. They want to also decide if states can enforce grace periods of receiving mail-in ballots after Election Day.
Right.
Not saying or accusing necessarily, but in California, the recent mayor's race where they knew exactly how many votes that the I can't think of her name, the lady that came in third,
the socialist.
Yes, both of them really, Karen Bass, and I can't remember the insignificant other lady. She would need to overcome
Spencer Pratt.
Spencer Pratt.
Yes,
and guess what? They counted
enough
votes.
It's miraculous. They found them. Oh, my goodness.
Them. That's right.
I mean, it's just crazy.
if anybody believes that shenanigans didn't happen in that, I've got an island in Kentucky that I want to sell you. You know it's just absurd. We know that this stuff happens, and it happened in my mind in the 2020 election. And these are all things that need to be dealt with, and we better be dealing with them. And that's why it's important. And oh, by the way, they've also admitted, the Democrats have admitted, that if they regain power, they'd like to pack the Supreme Court, take it from its 9 members up to enough members that they know that they could change that forever, because the Supreme Court appointment is a lifetime appointment, and you only get out of there if you resign or die.
Right, and they're so critical, and I hope that, I would love to see another conservative on the court, but I know we might lose one or two as time is coming up. But I want to get back again and just say to us, because we come on our show and we talk about these things that are very disturbing to all of us. But I also want to remind us again that we are, like we said at the top of the show, we are one nation under God. And our listeners out there, we are Christians first. And because of that, it makes us automatically conservative. That's what the world calls us. But when we're living under biblical principles, it's just no-brainers to us. But what we need to do is pray. We've got to pray.
Yeah, that's right.
And, my retired minister, Bob Russell, I've brought him up many times on this show. He does an amazing blog every week. And right now he's in the middle of a series.
One of the best.
Oh, yeah. He's doing a series right now on the 250th anniversary of America. And this one this week is about, we're about what the principles that our country was built on. And one of them, he said, government gets its authority from God. Amen to that. Government is accountable to the people. Yes, should be. Government is capable of horrendous evil and must be restrained. Yeah, that's true. So what do you think of that, Bob? Right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's honestly, supposedly, allegedly, one of the founding principles of the Republican Party. And, one of the things that, Ronald Reagan pushed when he was in office, the 9 words that anybody should fear if somebody from the government comes knocking on your door and says, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Those 9 words, you go, no,
that's right.
That's right, no.
So, yeah, is there need for government on basic things? Yes, undoubtedly.
On defending our freedom and
yes.
Our infrastructure as a country. But again, I just want to tell our listeners out there, whether you're grandparents, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, a coworker to someone, talk about the greatness of America. Talk about the individual power that we have as voters and as people. I was reminded this morning again how when Matt Bevin, who was our last Republican governor here, when he ran in the primary, he only won the primary race against James Comer, who's one of our great congressmen right now, by 37 votes. People, are you listening? That's why, like the president said, you have to make it too big to rig. So because we live in Kentucky and we do have more strict laws, thank you, Jesus, for our election system. It's not perfect yet, but we need to make it too big to rig. But we need to talk about it. Just like in the Bible, in the book of, I can't even think right now, what's this? Deuteronomy, talking about the word of God, how we want to bind it to our foreheads, put it on our doors. We want to share it with our children. I want to say the same to us out there, that we need to do this with our republic, with our country, with the beautiful country we live in, about biblical principles, about searching for the best candidates on the local level. We've just come through a primary season where we've chosen our team. Now get yourself educated and talk about it, and talk about it some more. Do I hear an amen, Bob?
No, you will always hear an amen on that.
Yes.
For sure. And again, we are right now at a pivotal time, and there's a lot of people, including me to a certain extent, that feel part of the reason why the deal that was just struck, with President Trump and or I should
Iran.
say United States and Iran, was because of the upcoming midterms.
Right.
Because if they were held today, I think most people would say that the Democrats would win. They usually, whoever the party that isn't in power on a midterm, typically will win the midterm anyway. Historically. But with what's going on and gas prices, what they were now, the good news,
They're
we're seeing
dropping.
the gas prices are dropping. We're seeing this stock market is absolutely skyrocketing right now. So those are obviously very good things, and I think for sure he's measuring that. But the question still remains to be seen is with regard to the deal itself. Is that really going to be, in the best interest of America?
Right.
And I'm disturbed personally that he's allowing the Iranians to maintain ballistic missiles. That to me, under no circumstance they should be allowed, because they can strike, and they have. All of our neighbors and loyalists, people that are loyal to America, countries that have stood with us in the Middle East, and I'm not talking just Israel, but they have thrown missiles at other countries. So these are all things that we need to be praying with. I know on tomorrow's show we'll be going into probably in a little bit more depth with regard to it. And
Right, because we've got to wait for the actual signing that's going to happen on Friday. A lot of more discussion coming up. And I don't want us to jump the gun, any of us, although because we're Christians and because we are always worried about the Israel factor, that's something that's near and dear to us. But I do want to push back just a little bit and say I think it's going to be different this time, Bob. I think this 2026 election, I believe that we know how critical it is. Do we want socialist, communist crazies? Do we want crazy, or do we want common sense? That's the big terminology out there amongst the Republican electorate. So everybody, we thank you for being with us today. We're coming back tomorrow with a great show. This is Kentucky's Voice, and Bob and I and Tom, we'll see you tomorrow.